Hello and welcome to our video on the crazy story behind the ranks of the Roman army. In this video, we'll go into the intriguing world of the Roman army and examine how their ranks functioned, the various available positions, and the methods for elevating people to the top ranks. One of the most powerful armies in history was the Roman one. The security and continuity of the Roman Empire depended heavily on the ancient Roman army. The enormous lands of the empire were expanded and maintained by its well-organized and well-trained soldiers, who also defended its frontiers against outside threats and upheld law and order in its urban centers. The Roman army helped to secure the empire in a number of significant ways, such as border defense. The Roman army was in charge of protecting the empire's boundaries against outside threats. To stop incursions by foreign armies or raiders, its soldiers were stationed in key areas along the frontiers, where they erected fortifications and carried out frequent patrols. A powerful and well-trained army served as a deterrence, decreasing the likelihood that the empire would be attacked by outside forces. Internal security. The Roman army was crucial to upholding peace and order in the cities of the empire. Its soldiers were frequently stationed in cities to uphold the law, keep the peace, and quell the rebellion. This supported social stability and crime prevention, both of which were essential for the empire's smooth operation. Military conquest. The Roman army was in charge of enlarging the empire's sphere of influence. Battles were fought with opposing troops. Territories were taken, and new areas came under Roman power. This increased the empire's wealth and strength, which in turn improved its safety and security. Training and discipline. The Roman army was renowned for its rigorous training and discipline, which aided in ensuring that its men were highly competent and ready for fight. As a result, there were fewer casualties, and the army was more effective in battle. The stability and security of the empire were aided by the troops' increased sense of loyalty and camaraderie. In general, the Roman army played a significant role in the security and continuity of the Roman Empire. The strength and wealth of the empire were a result of the highly skilled, disciplined, and committed troops who served it. Now let's get to know how many sections were there in the ancient Rome army. One of the most powerful and well-organized armies in history was the ancient Roman army. It was separated into a number of parts, each with a unique role and set of duties. Each rank had a unique set of obligations and duties, which made each rank's roles distinct from the roles of the others. The effectiveness of the overall military strategy depended on the accomplishment of the particular tasks and responsibilities carried out by each section of the ancient Roman army. Let's look at the many divisions of the ancient Roman army and how they served. Legions. The Roman army's main fighting formations were the legions, which each had between 5,000 and 6,000 soldiers. At its height, the Roman Empire had up to 30 legions, each of which had its own distinctive symbol and number. Soldiers of various ranks, including infantry, cavalry, and archers, made up the legions. They were in charge of starting conflicts and occupying territory. The cavalry provided mobility and support, while the infantry made up the majority of the legion and was in charge of close-quarters combat with the adversary. Since they were adept at long-range fighting, the archers were frequently sent before the main army to weaken the enemy's defenses. Auxiliaries. Non-citizen troops were recruited from the provinces to serve as auxiliaries. Cohorts, the name given to the groups they were grouped into, were primarily responsible for assisting the legions in combat. The auxiliaries were in charge of scouting, skirmishing, and annoying the opposition, and were typically deployed as light infantry. They were adept at archery and served as cavalry as well. Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard was a specialized group of elite warriors that acted as the Roman Emperor's personal bodyguard. They were founded by Emperor Augustus in 27 BC, and at that time there were 9,000 of them. The protection of the emperor and the imperial palace fell under the purview of the Praetorian Guard. They were also employed as an instrument of political influence, frequently interfering with the installation and removal of emperors. Cohorts. Consisting of about 500 troops, the cohorts were the foundational unit of the Roman army. They were composed of 10 contubernia, which were tent-sharing units of 8 troops each. A centurion oversaw the cohorts, which were in charge of fighting alongside the legions. Cohorts were divided into centuries, each of which contained about 80 troops. A centurion served as the leader of the soldiers in battle and oversaw their training for each century. The centuries served as the foundation of the Roman army, giving the legions the personnel they needed to be effective. Officers. The officers served as the Roman army's top commanders and were in charge of organizing and leading the troops. The generals held the highest rank and were in charge of organizing and carrying out military operations. The other officers were the tribunes, who were in charge of running the army, and the centurions, who were in charge of preparing the soldiers for battle and serving as their commanders. The general, or imperator, who had complete command over all troops, was the highest position in the ancient Roman army. Since they were in charge of strategizing and carrying it out, the general's role was essential to the military campaign's success. The highest rank in the Roman army had the following major duties and roles. Strategic planning. The campaign's military plan was the general's responsibility. This required surveying the terrain, figuring out the enemy's strengths and weaknesses, and creating an offensive strategy. The general needed to be adept in military strategy and quick to adjust to shifting conditions. Taking command. The general was in charge of leading the army into combat, giving commands, coordinating the movements of various units, and making sure the soldiers were in the appropriate location at the appropriate time were all part of this. The general had to be able to uplift, motivate, and keep the men's spirits up despite hardship. Negotiation and diplomacy. The general frequently had to negotiate and conduct diplomacy with the adversary. Treaties had to be negotiated, captives had to be swapped, and occasionally alliances with old foes had to be formed. To bring about a peaceful end to the fight, the general needed to be a good diplomat and be able to work with the opposition. Administration. The general was also in charge of overseeing the army's administration. This required overseeing the campaign's logistics, making sure the soldiers had access to enough food, drink, and supplies, and seeing to the needs of the injured. The general was also responsible for making sure that the troops received their pay and that their equipment was kept in excellent working order. How were they promoted? A soldier might receive a promotion for exhibiting particularly courage or ability in battle, finishing a set number of years of service, or having significant ties in Roman society's higher echelons. Promotions in the ancient Roman army were determined by merit, experience, and skill. A soldier could be promoted in a number of ways, including merit. Promotions to higher levels were frequently given to soldiers who displayed great bravery, prowess, and devotion in battle. This was particularly true for the centurions, who were in charge of guiding their centuries and were frequently picked for their capacity to lead and inspire their troops. Service duration. Soldiers with a long tenure were frequently promoted to higher positions. Romans frequently considered promoting soldiers who had served for a number of years because they believed the experience was an important factor in establishing a soldier's aptitude for higher posts. Political ties. In some instances, promotions for soldiers may be given based on their ties to influential people or families. This was particularly true for officers who were frequently chosen by the emperor or other powerful figures. Education. Soldiers with advanced degrees or specialized knowledge, such as those in engineering or medical, were frequently promoted to jobs where they could effectively employ their knowledge. Patronage. Soldiers were frequently promoted to higher positions if they had the backing of powerful commanders or patrons. The Praetorian Guard, which was frequently employed as a tool of political power, was a case in point. Promotions in the Roman army were generally determined by a combination of talent, expertise, and political clout. Promotion to higher levels was frequently given to soldiers who demonstrated remarkable bravery and skill in battle, served for an extended period of time, possessed specialized knowledge, or had the backing of powerful people like the modern era. So it can be said that the Roman army had a complicated system of ranks, with each rank signifying a higher level of expertise, responsibility, and experience. Each level had different responsibilities, and promotions were determined by a combination of qualifications, contacts, and experience. Every position in the Roman army, from foot troops to generals, was essential to its success. And it was this well-organized system that allowed the Roman Empire to capture and hold on to its vast territory for ages. I hope you found the video to be educational and entertaining. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more great content about history and culture. We appreciate you watching this video.